بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Tonight we're studying beginner's fiqh Al-Bahiyyah of Imam Shawkani rahimahullah ta'ala. We finished the book of marriage, Kitab al-Nikah, and now we'll move forward to its opposite, and that is Kitab al-Talaq. As the scholars of Islam, they mention that things become clear from their opposites. Things become clear from their opposites. So a Muslim who's taking a beginner's class in Islamic jurisprudence, the halal and the haram, the things to do and not to do, al-fiqh, you learn what you should do in a basic, simple way, with examples, with explanation. And you also learn that what you shouldn't do in a basic, simple way with explanation. And oftentimes, you understand what you're supposed to do better by being taught what you're not supposed to do. Or, even if you're supposed to do it and it is an opposite, it just sheds more light upon its opposite by learning how to unwind, how to unwrap, how to unravel. And a marriage, nikah, is supposed to be to tie and to bind. And talaq is to unfasten that tie, unfasten that knot. Tight. So that's with anything. You learn how to make wudu properly, and you learn the things which break wudu. You learn the conditions of Hajj, the pillars of Hajj, the wajibat of Hajj, the recommended acts of Hajj. And you also learn the disliked acts of Hajj, and the things which render your Hajj void, null and void, which breaks the Hajj. You learn the conditions of La ilaha illallah, the meaning of La ilaha illallah, the pillars of La ilaha illallah, the requirement of La ilaha illallah. And you also learn the things which nullify that statement and break that statement and render that statement fruitless, unfortunately. So that's universal. That's first and foremost. That's the first introduction. Introduction number 2, the rulings of divorce in Islam are extremely important. Extremely important. And not just for 2019, nor just for the United States, nor just for urban inner city communities, as many people may think and feel, that it's only for 2019 that people are getting divorced, or it's only in America that people are getting divorced, or it's only in the inner urban city communities that people are getting divorced. That's not necessarily true. We cannot forget the reality that's dead smack in our faces is that there's an entire chapter in the Quran called divorce. Let alone the other ayat that talk about divorce in Surah 4 and Surah 2. Everyone understand this? And the other surahs as well. Al-Mujadilah. Talk about the different rulings and the ins and outs of what? Of divorce. Okay? So therefore, we have ayat in the Quran which are abundant that talk about divorce, let alone the fact that there's an entire chapter in the Quran called Surah Al-Talaq. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is not going to give us an entire surah, let alone those other ayat, unless that thing is of extreme importance. Unless that thing is very pragmatic and practical, and it can and will and has happened, and it's going to happen among Arabs, non-Arabs as well. Everybody understand this? Are there certain influences? Are there certain heightened and inflated or amplified reasons for divorce in 2019? Perhaps. How fast life is, how quick the world moves, how independent a woman could become, in contrast to the past, in which there were different religious and social and political and different factors that prevented a woman from being super independent, in contrast to 2019. And a woman has her own bank account, her own car, her own job, her own phone, her own house, and she doesn't need you at all. That adds to the likeliness of what, or the likelihood of divorce, much more than when a woman, even if she wants to get divorced 50 years ago, 100 years ago, she can't own this. She can't inherit this. She can't have her own business. She can't travel here. No one will allow her to do this. No one will do business with her. Things are different. Okay? So that's one aspect, is how fast the world is, how fast the world runs. Also, the widespread scourge of drug abuse and substance abuse. People have been drinking for years. People have been taking drugs and eating plants and mushrooms and things like this for years. But not like now, in which it is a major staple fabric of the culture and of society from the east to the west. We understand this? And also there are certain things in certain Western countries which is going to be amplified, as we said. Then we have the concept of pornography, and the concept of soap operas, and the concept of romantic movies, and the concept of love novels that has an effect on divorce, in which people will get a divorce because of something what they saw on the television, or on the computer, or on their phones, because they're not pleased with their wives sexually, or their husbands sexually, all right? Or they feel that this is what marriage is supposed to be like. Not like this, but it's supposed to be like this. It has to be love, has to be this, has to be that. Everyone understand this? That has an effect. People have been making zina for a very long time. There's been people who are unchaste, people who have infidelity, etc. But not like how it is now in 2019, or in the Western countries, or America, or Canada, or the UK, etc. Everyone understand this? Also, the concept of just life, even if it isn't based off of speed, but just the quality of life, and how things are made and things are produced, and how quick people just do things. Everyone understand this? It has an effect upon family structure. Family structure. And there are other reasons what? As well. But under any circumstances, it's specific to America, or specific to the inner urban communities, or specific to Muslims of this background, of this ethnicity, or this type of madhab or school of thought. Everyone suffers from it. Some suffer from it more than others. Some have greater frequency of it more than others. But one way or another, divorce is divorce. Everyone understand this? Tayyib. Another introduction of Kitab al-Talaq is that there are many wisdoms in divorce. Many wisdoms. And from the wisdoms of divorce is self-development. Self-development. Maturity. Spiritual, physical, mental growth. In which Allah sends a challenge your way, and it is your job to overcome that obstacle. It's your job to hurdle. It's your job to move to the side. It's your job to adjust. It's your job to be resilient as a believer. It hurts, it bothers you, it stops you, it hurts your momentum, but it is your job to do what? Get back up. Instead of a person never having the fear of falling down. In which there's no fear of falling down, there's going to be total security. And when there's total security, there is complacency, and lack of urgency, and lack of growth and development. Everyone understand this? Lack of growth and development. When there's no way that I can fall down. But when you realize that you can fall, you're more careful. You have better balance. Everyone understand this? Instead of it's nothing to worry about, because it's never ever going to happen. There's no such thing as divorce in my religion. There's no such thing as divorce in my culture. Period. It never happens. A woman can never get divorced. A man will never get divorced. So therefore, I become complacent as a husband. I become complacent as a what? As a wife. And there is no growth of seeking Allah's help, thanking Allah, being patient, being grateful, and all of the other blessings that come with marriage, and those blessings that come from when the marriage is taken away from you. You realize, you sit back and you reflect, and the concept of Allah giving you better, and searching for that which is better, and to realize that there is no cap or limit on Allah's bounty. You can't really get that if you feel that I'll never ever be able to find a woman like my ex-wife. She was so good, she was so this, she was so that. My ex-husband, I was married to him for all of these years, he took care of me, I never did anything, I never worked, oh, what am I going to do? So Allah's mercy and Allah's bounty is limited to this one man. Everyone understand what I'm trying to say to you? There's no other righteous brothers, no other handsome brothers, no other brothers that can provide, no other brothers that have knowledge. He's the only one on earth that Allah gave rahmah. There's no other beautiful women, no other righteous, pious women that can take care of you, no other women that are fertile that can have children. She was the only woman that Allah created and He gave her rahmah. That's the mentality of someone who goes through a divorce and they're broken and they can't recover. They can't move forward. They can't think about the sheer thought of me being with another woman is utterly dilapidating to my mind. That's not the mindset of the what? Of the believer. I loved her, yes. She was a phenomenal woman. She was this, she was that. But Allah is what? Greater. Everyone understand this? Allah's rahmah is what? Is far more than that one woman. Everyone understand this? He was a great brother. He was a strong brother. He took care of me. He did everything that I wanted, that I needed. But there are what? There are other good brothers out there. So these are all wisdoms in divorce coming. Everyone understand? It's the hijama. You take the old blood and it has to be released and taken out of your body. Because it's no more good, it's just old. And you have to refresh it. You understand? This is wisdom in that. Alright? So Allah Azza wa Jalla is all wise. He's all knowing. And He knows His servants, what they need, what they want, more than what the servants do. Allah knows what we need more than what we do. And He also knows what we want before we even think about it. Allah knows what's in our hearts and our minds, more than we can possibly know. Alright? So we follow Allah's legislature. We follow His wisdom, follow His legislation, and inshallah ta'ala we will be happy. So these are very important introductions with regards to what? At-talaq. Also, is that there are different types of divorce. So sometimes the word talaq is mentioned and it means divorce in general. And other times the word talaq is mentioned and it's talking about a specific type of separation. So, talaq versus khula', talaq versus al-ilah, talaq versus al-dhihar. Okay? Talaq versus al-fasq. Talaq is not khula', talaq is not fasq, talaq is not ilah, talaq is not al-dhihar. Everyone understand this? However, the general aspect, these are all types of talaq. But if you use it specifically versus, then it's not what? Talaq. The sheikh, the qadi, he asked the woman, did you ask for talaq or ask for this? You're seeking talaq or fasq. When I got married to the brother, I discovered the brother had a bunch of tattoos all over his body. And he didn't tell me. I don't want to be in this marriage no more. That's not the same as she's saying, I want to be what? Divorced. Or vice versa. You understand the difference? Fasq. The marriage is no. I don't want to be in this marriage, the contract is wrong. He tricked me, he deceived me. It's not the same as a woman being married to the brother. She knew what she was getting involved with or getting or stepping into. And then later on, she was just displeased. And I said, I want to what? I want to get a divorce. Everyone understand this? So, it's extremely important to understand these terms, Fadl, is that we have at-talaq as a general term for man and woman being separated. And then we have at-talaq being a specific type of separation. Like mu'min and Muslim. When the words are used in one sentence, they have contrast meanings or they have different meanings. They're not exactly the same. And when one is mentioned without the other, then it what? It's interchangeable and includes all. Everyone understand this? It's extremely important, and this can save you from a great deal of confusion with regards to reading the Quran and the Hadiths, let alone the books of fiqh. The chapter of talaq. And then it goes on and talks about the rulings of talaq. Then there's not a new thing called khula'. So khula' is not talaq. Everyone understand this? Everybody got me or not? Khairan inshallah. Tayyib. That's enough of those introductions. There are many other introductions that we could give, which are extremely important, but we won't right now. The author, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, هو جائز من مكلف مختار ولو هازلا لمن كانت في طهر لم يمسها فيه ولا طلقها في الحيضة التي قبله أو في حمل قد استبان ويحرم إيقاعه على غير هذه الصفة وفي وقوعه ووقوع ما فوق الواحدة من دون تخلل رجعة خلاف والراجح عدم الوقوع. The author begins his brutal summary of the chapter in these short, concise words by saying the following. Extremely lean, like the rest of the book. He says, huwa jaizun. Divorce is permissible. That's the first ruling that he mentioned. He says that it is permissible. So when we say that it's permissible, we exclude how many other rulings? We exclude how many? That is what? It's not haram. It's not disliked. It's not recommended. It's not unprescribed. Mubah. Or rather, he says that it is jaiz. Everyone understand this? When we say this, it automatically excludes what? Other things. So this is how you study a fiqh metin. When the author says it's permissible to wipe over them for 24 hours, excluded in that is anything that exceeds, or it's permissible to wipe over leather socks which are pure, made from the hides of lawful animals to eat, animals that are lawful to eat. Excluded in that is wiping over leather which comes from khinzir or so on and so forth, or silk socks for men, etc. etc. طيب. So he says, هو جائز, is permissible. Says here in the footnotes, ولكنه يكره مع عدم الحاجة الدراري. He says that the author explains in another book, explanation, that it is disliked if there's no need for it. If there's no need for divorce, then it's disliked. If you don't have a reason behind it, then it's something that should not be done. We have explained what some of the ulama have said, is that al-talaq is based off of the 5 rulings of Islam. There are times in which divorce is obligatory in Islam. It's a must. It has to be done. And there are times in which talaq is recommended. You don't have to, but you should do it. And then there are times in which talaq is mubah, jaiz. If you want to do it, do it. And if you don't want to do it, keep her. No mushkila, no worries. And then there are other times which talaq is disliked. You shouldn't do it. But if you did it, it is permissible and it's valid. And there are other times which talaq is muharram, la yajuz. You can't do it. It's unlawful to do it. Everyone understand this? The author just gives one, he says that it's permissible to do. How and when is it permissible? And obviously there are details on when it is recommended to get divorced, when it is obligatory to get divorced, when it's haram to get divorced, when it's disliked to get divorced, which we have explained in other classes and lectures. Moving forward. He says, min mukallafin mukhtarin walau hazila. And the divorce is only permissible from someone who is mukallaf. And included in that is someone who is A, B, C, D, and E, of age, sound, etc. Excluded from that is someone who is saghir or majnoon. Everyone understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? That's how you study the fiqh metin. Included in it and what? Excluded. You make your mind dynamic. From one word, you have 4 other pieces. Everybody clear on this? From one word, you have what? Huh? That's how your mind, that's how you have to study fiqh. He says here, mukhtar. And the one who gives the divorce who's of age, who has a sound mind, has to be what? Mukhtar. It has to be something that they want and something that they choose. Excluded from the word mukhtar is someone who is mukrah. Al-mukrah. Someone who is coerced. A gun is to your head. A knife is to your neck. A baseball bat is to your kneecaps. Tayyib, you have to divorce her right now. Divorce my ex-wife. If not, what? That's what the brother told me. He said, his brother married my ex-wife. He said, I better not catch you coming out your house for Fajr. He said, I better not catch you coming out the masjid. I'm coming out the house to go to Fajr. He said, you better be strapped going for Fajr. That's what the other said. You better be what? No doubt. You marry my ex-wife? When I see you, what? There you are. That's what the brother said. He said, I'm going to put his brains on the porch when I see him, because he married my ex-wife. So if the brother, he walks up to him with a gun, he puts the gun in the brother's face, and it says, divorce her right now. Divorce Sister Karima right now, or is there any of your miserable, worthless life? Muslim or not, I don't care. Allah will forgive me later. And he says, what? Sister Karima is divorced. According to this book, the divorce is what? Invalid. Everyone understand this? He's mukrah. It then says, walau, or including this is extreme anger. The person, somebody made him so angry, says, I'll divorce my wife right now, and if you don't get out of my face. Methalan. Brother has anger problems, right? He has what? Severe anger problems, a mental issue, in which it wasn't his choice. It wasn't his ikhtiyar. Okay? Everyone understand this? Now, one thing which is not excluded is joking around. If you're joking around, you're laughing, you're playing, that what? That counts. So he says his wife, oh yeah, you know, such and such, you're divorced anyhow. And he's laughing. The divorce what? It counts. It counts. So you can't joke around with divorce. You got that? You can't joke around with it. Even if you're laughing and joking, it's what? It counts. Tayyib, moving forward. He then says, لِمَنْ كَانَتْ فِي طُهْرٍ لَمْ يَمَسَّهَا فِيهِ. It says, and this divorce is only lawful, it's only valid if the woman is fi tuhrin, a clean state, a pure state. Lam yamassaha fihi, in which he didn't touch her. Meaning, she's making salah, she's fasting, she's making tawaf on her hajj, she's not menstruating, nor is she suffering from postnatal bleeding. You understand this? She isn't menstruating, she's making the prayer, and he did not have intercourse with her. So she came off her menses Monday morning, right? Before Fajr. Tayyib? It's now Tuesday, right? The last time he had intercourse with her was 5 days before Monday. 5 days before what? Monday. So today is what, the 22nd? So Monday was the 21st. So the last time he was intimate was when? The 16th. The 16th. The 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st, he didn't what? Obviously, she was menstruating. She made ghusl. She made Salat al-Fajr on Monday. Tuesday, he comes home. Brother Kareem finds Sister Karima. She's texting a brother in the house. Or, whose khufs are these in my house? I wear size 10 and a half. This is a size 13. Something is wrong now. Something is going on. Whose khufs are these? Oh no, Yani, subhanAllah, I went to the store and they accidentally put it in my bag. You're divorced. Everyone understand this? It will be valid and permissible because he didn't what? He didn't touch her in this what? Pure state. As far as if he had intercourse with her on the 21st, last night on Monday, it will be what? No, he didn't say valid. It will be haram. It will be what? It will be unlawful for him to divorce her. Everyone understand what's about my tuhur, a pure period versus a state of menstruation. Extremely important to understand this. وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ كم؟ ثلاثة إيش؟ قروء. ما هو القرء؟ ما هو إيش القرء؟ هل هو طهر ولا حيضة? Allah says, and divorced women must wait 3 quru. What's meant by quru? The qara. Is it a pure state or a state of menstruation? The ulama from the Sahaba have differed over this up until this day. What's meant by this? And it's a difference in the time period. So a woman has to wait for 3 menses or 3 pure states. It's a difference in the number of days. Everyone understand this? So therefore, she came off her menstruation on the 21st. It's the 22nd. He did not have intercourse with her since the 16th. It will be what? Permissible. As far as if he had intercourse with her last night, Monday night, he cannot divorce her on what? Tuesday, until something else happens. Or in another situation, moving forward. He then says, وَلَا طَلَّقَهَا فِي الْحَيْضَةِ الَّتِي قَبْلَهُ. Nor is it lawful to divorce her, and which he divorced her before in the previous menstruation. The 16th, the 17th, he divorced her. And let's say, for example, whatever, he took her back. Now he wants to do what? Divorce her again on the 22nd. That's a problem. And we're going to explain why later. Everyone understand this? He then says, أَوْ فِي حَمْلٍ قَدْ اسْتَبَانَ. It's also permissible to divorce her if she's clearly pregnant. She's clearly what? Pregnant. Everyone understand this? She's what? She's pregnant. So let's say, for example, give me a scenario. The woman is clearly pregnant now. She has a big belly. She's 3 months pregnant. She went to the doctors, right? Okay, she's been pregnant for 3 months now. Clear. And then Monday night he had intercourse with her. Tuesday he comes home and he divorces her for another reason. She was rooting for the what? For the Patriots, against the Giants or the Jets. He says anti-taliq. You rooted for the Redskins or the Cowboys. You're what? You're divorced. A sport fanatic, So therefore, he was intimate with her last night. It normally would be impermissible for him to divorce her. But due to the fact that she's what? She's clearly it's qad istabana. It's clear that she's pregnant. It's what? Nothing wrong with that. And one of the reasons behind this is that the iddah is not going to fluctuate. The iddah is not going to what? It's not going to fluctuate. It's going to be one iddah, and that is the pregnancy. Period. Versus he had intercourse with her, menstruating, 3 months, waiting, is she pregnant? It's a tangled, confused situation. It's going to be longer for her. And it's going to be a means of harming her. Everyone understand this? Clarity, as they say. What? Al-wuduh? What? What tamayus, Clarity. Be upon clarity. Moving forward, he says, وَيَحْرُمُ إِيقَاعُهُ عَلَى غَيْرِ هَذِهِ الصِّفَةِ. And if the divorce is done in a way or manner other than what I have just explained, is what? Impermissible. It's haram. The divorce cannot be done based off of anything which is contrary or contradictory to what I have given you. So that means what? Give me an example of an unlawful divorce according to the author, based off what we learned. Divorcing a menstruating woman, first and foremost, He didn't have intercourse with her, but she's not praying. Can't divorce her. Or, and it's not clear that she's pregnant. Or, person is forced, person is coerced, etc. Everyone understand this? The author then says, and one thing he didn't mention here, moving forward, we'll get there inshallah. He says, وفي وقوعه ووقوع ما فوق الواحدة من دون تخلل رجعة خلاف. As far as does the divorce count? Is it valid or not? That's a difference of opinion. They agree that these things are what? Haram. Exactly. Can't be done. But just because haram doesn't mean that it's what? Invalid. Pay attention. Just because haram doesn't mean that it's invalid. Everyone understand this? Doesn't mean that it's what? Invalid. Tayyib. Khairan. He says, such as divorcing a woman more than once, in one period, one sitting, one argument, one discussion, one text message. You're divorced 3 times, three, talaq, 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 talaq. With an emoji, huh? Exclamation mark. You got to use the modern culture now, right? The modern technology. You're in a good mood with your wife is in a good mood with you. She sends you the heart. She sends you an emoji, sends you a gift, right? Flowers. And when it's a bad mood or argument, what? A devil face with the horns. Not the one that's smiling, but the, what heck is that? Huh? The purple one. Don't act like you don't know what it is, akhi, huh? Don't act like you never what? Never used it. Or you might go to the gift keyboard. It might send something crazy. Everyone understand this? Tayyib. Moving forward. He says divorcing a woman more than once. Min duni takhalluli raj'atin. In which he divorced her and then he took her back. 2 days later, divorced her again. It was a raj'ah. He took her back. A man just divorcing her 2 times or 3 times. He says there is khilaf with regards to these what? These things, do they count? He says, وَالرَّاجِحُ عَدَمُ الْوُقُوعِ. He says, in the strongest view, according to the author, is that they what? He says, عَدَمُ الْوُقُوعِ. He says, they what? They don't count. That's what the author says. Everyone understand? Is that they what? They don't count. So if a man, he divorced his wife menstruating, what? Doesn't count. وهكذا. It says here in the footnotes, ها هنا مسألتان. الأولى طلاق البدع والمصنف هنا وفي النيل بل أفرد رسالة مستقلة يختار عدم وقوعه لكنه رجع عن ذلك في السيل ورجح وقوعه والمسألة من مضايق الخلاف وقد صنف فيها جماعة من أهل العلم ومن لما أطرافها ابن حزم في المحلى والشيخ الإسلام كما في مجموع الفتاوى وابن القيم في الزاد والحافظ في الفتح والأمير في الصنع أو في السبل. He said we have 2 issues here. The editor says, the mu'alliq. Number 1 is that which is called talaq bid'i or talaq bid'ah, talaq of innovation. He says that the author here he mentions in other books is that it doesn't count, but in later works or other books he recanted that statement and he held the view that it does count. Divorcing a woman in this type of a manner which is bid'ah does what? It does count. And the author or the mu'alliq, he goes on to mention a few other scholars who discuss this in detail, who've given many pages, rather books, just on this one topic. Now, going away from the book for a second, not to get off topic or off track, but we know that there are many blessings, alhamdulillah, and the different movements and dawah movements and dawah cause that the people have brought to the United States and brought to Canada and the UK, alhamdulillah. It's good. But there's also a lot of confusion. And from that confusion is the concept of fiqh. Madhab versus no madhab. Madhabs are bid'ah. It's haram to follow madhabs. Salaf never had madhabs. There's no madhab. Tayyib, no problem. But then if you read a book such as the Prophet's Prayer described of Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah, all of those views and opinions that he declares to be the most correct, regardless of what they're based off of, the hadith and the sunnah, that's not the point. Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah, he holds the view the finger is to be moved. Sheikh Al-Bani holds the view, the hands are to be placed on the what? On the chest. Sheikh Al-Bani holds the view that the sutra must be there. وهكذا. If you summarize all of those things, take away from the dalil and explanation and arguments and make a list of it, that is the what? That's the madhab of Sheikh Al-Bani. You're following his what? His way, his school of thought, the opinions that he has selected for himself. Everyone understand this? Or another major problem, madhabs are wrong, the Hanafis are wrong, Jamaat Tabligh, so on and so forth, they're wrong, they're this, they're that. But we take all of the fatwa of Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, who studied, learnt, and oftentimes followed a what? Madhab. And whenever Sheikh Uthaymeen, some say, that whenever he went against the Hanbali madhab, he never ever left the what? The gate of Ibn Taymiyyah's views. So in actuality, oftentimes you say that the Hanafis are upon bid'ah, the Jamaat Tabligh is upon bid'ah, they have madhabs, they're not following sunnah, but in actuality, you're doing what? The same thing. Maybe even worse. Whereas they're following Abu Hanifa, or this Hanafi scholar who died 700 years ago, and they're following all of the views of Al-Bani, or Uthaymeen, or Ibn Taymiyyah. So that's a problem. And I'm not saying what's right or wrong from among that. I'm trying to shed light of the confusion. Of the what? The confusion. So, and it gets even deeper than that now. We have the concept of what do you do now when there are two major prominent scholars of Dawah Salafiyah and they have two totally opposite views on an issue. An issue so important such as talaq of bid'ah. Then what? What do we do now? You understand this? That's going to be a what? A mushkila. Or Imam Ahmed says something, but Uthaymeen and Ibn Baz say something else. It's going to be a problem. Who do we follow? What hadith are we following? Who's wrong? It's just so much what? Jumbling and mixing and confusion. And the brothers, except for those people whom Allah has mercy on, when they went overseas, did they study fiqh properly? Did they study fiqh in progressive steps? The brother has 6 years, only 6 years to learn everything that he needs for his community. And when he went overseas, he was a revert to Islam. He didn't know anything about Islam. He had to learn Arabic. How many years did it take you to become good in Arabic? He had to learn Quran, Tajweed, Aqidah, Tafsir, Usul Fiqh, all stuff. And 2 years in the language program and 4 years in his college. Now he's back and he's a community leader. It's a problem. It's what? It's a problem. And when he comes back to the masjid, the board and the people have him doing classes every day of the week, leading every salah, working like a slave, and she has no time to read and to study and sit in his library. He has no time to do study leave, in which 3 weeks out of every year, he's paid to leave the masjid and to take a spiritual vacation. Study leave. You understand this? Every year, our imam, we are sending into Malaysia for 3 months. Your expenses are paid. You're getting paid for being an imam here. We need you to sharpen up what? Come back sharper. How many communities you ever heard doing something like this? They work the imam like a slave, chain and ball, let alone what? Give him a work leave. And they don't realize that by him taking that time off and studying, even though he's finished his degree, it's only making the community what? Better. It's only making him a better servant for them. He gives them better knowledge, better khidmah. You understand this? It's a problem. Or if you don't have the ability to have work leave or study leave, you make it yourself in your own library. Brothers don't have books. Brothers don't study. Brothers are not reading anything. It's going to be a challenge. All right? And knowing what's correct, knowing what to give to the people, everyone understand this? And knowing how to navigate through the khilaf and through the mixing and the jumbling. The Sahaba differed over an issue. All of the ulama said something, Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qayyim went against them. It's difficult, all right? So it has to be principles. It has to be what? It has to be principles. So the ulama of Islam, they've spoken on this issue, and it's a serious issue of divorcing a menstruating woman. Does it count or does it not? It's one of the most commonly widespread brought up problems in the United States. I divorced her when she was menstruating, or even deeper than that, I divorced her after what? We were intimate. We were in the bed together. The notification went off. She went to use the bathroom to make ghusl or wudu. Ding. I happened to look in the phone and it was what? Brother Kareem. Sends a WhatsApp image. Whoa, what is going on? They get into an argument. While we were on my phone, he picks up something. She picks up something. They're fighting. Next thing you know what? You're what? You're talaq. Then after Fajr, he prays. He's sitting in the masjid and he's regretful. Oh man, what did I do? I can't believe I divorced Sister Karima. Oh man, Sheikh Mufti, Me and my wife had a big argument last night. You know, so on and so forth. Can you help me out? You know, what can we do? There's a problem. It happens often. And understand this? The concept of talaq bid'ah. So you have to know what you're following and why you're following that. Everyone understand this? And it also goes to show you, the last thing we'll mention perhaps, is how feeble the claim is of people say, oh, follow the ulama. Listen to the ulama. Oh, you don't teach the books of the ulama. You're not following the ulama. Well, what are you doing the ulama different in? Then what? Who are you following then? Because they're all what? Ulama. So now you're picking and choosing and taking what you want to pick and choose. Everyone understand this? So that's a feeble argument. And that argument comes from people that are feeble-minded. There's no Muslim in his right mind, let alone a student of knowledge, let alone a scholar that doesn't want to learn from the ulama. Who doesn't want to learn from the scholars of Islam? Who? I mean, who? No, no one doesn't want to learn from a person and benefit. And there's no one in his right mind that's going to deny the fact that there are people who are older than me that have been studying before I was born. La mushkila. It's not a problem. That's not the mahal of khilaf. And we know that the people, from their dirty tricks, is that they make arguments that really don't exist. They make arguments that really what? That don't exist. Or they enhance and they amplify the khilaf. It's only an issue here that I'm differing, and they make it what? A big thing. And you can read this in the books of non-Muslims, right? They talk about the different strategies and laws of power. And this is one of the most important tactics of gaining an edge and a power over your enemy, is to enhance and to intensify the differences between you and your selected foe. To enhance the differences, the core issue is really not that big between the Persians and the Romans, or the Persians and the Greeks. But we're Greeks, and they're what? They're Persians. They're this, they're that. What did the Pope do? Bourbon, right? With the Crusades. They're slaughtering Christian pilgrims. They're raping Christian women. They're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing that. They're devil worshippers. They worship Muhammad. They're idol worshippers. And all of those things are lies. They worship one God. Monotheism is the core foundation of Islam. And that's supposed to be the core foundation of Christianity. Are there differences between the two? No doubt. Jerusalem and France. But what he did was what? And roused them up, and look what happened as a result of that. So many people, they do this, and the two things we'll end with this. They'll make an argument that doesn't exist. He doesn't take from the ulama. He doesn't like the ulama. That's not true. That's a lie. Or I've differed with this scholar, or I choose to take the view of another one. Or I want to look for the proof and evidence, what? Myself. Like I've been taught and trained by the ulama overseas. When you were in America or Canada doing Allah knows best, we were actually sitting at the feet of the what? Of the ulama, looking at their toes, being taught and trained by them, and you were indulging in the worldly life in this country. So don't talk about taking from the ulama. But for argument's sake, if I differ over this scholar's opinion or his ruling, and I feel that it is permissible to go to this masjid, or it is permissible to read this book, or to teach this class, that doesn't mean that I don't what? I think I'm more knowledgeable than what? The ulama. And they intensify and enhance the actual what? Khilaf. Everyone understand these dirty tricks that they use? Okay? So with that being said, the one who bases his argument off of a scholar, or bases his argument off of what a scholar say, is always going to find himself at a dead end. At one point or what? Another. When he's fanatical and when he's a bigot. And that's not the same as the person who says, look, I'm Hanafi. I don't know what this one is talking about, nor do I care to know. I go to work, I sit in my shop, I sell dates and peanuts and almonds, I'm studying what I learned in Pakistan, and that's it. That's not the same as the fanatical person who's claiming Quran and Sunnah, who's claiming the way of the Salaf. In actuality, he's a muqallid. And he's a fanatical muqallid. And he's forcing people to take the view of a specific scholar, or specific scholars and specific issues. It's a difference than the one who admits and acknowledges these are what? I'm following the madhab, and that's it. I'm not going outside of what I studied in Pakistan. Khalas. Those are the scholars that I trust, and that's what I'm standing in front of Allah. He could be right, he could be wrong, but they aren't the what? The same as the fanatical zealot. The fanatical zealot. I would understand this who attacks other people for other reasons. So with that being said, it's extremely important to understand the basic principles of talaq and the basic principles of fiqh. And every single Muslim has to have basic principles with regards to the difference of the scholars of Islam. When to follow the safest view. when to take precaution, when to stick with the dalil that makes sense to you, that's clear to you, when to go with the majority. There are rules to all of these things, huh? And many of us, unfortunately, when we came back to America, we didn't spend enough time in what? Teaching the people these things. And we spent more time just quoting names and calling names and feeding names and personalities to the people instead of giving the people the tools to navigate when the scholars themselves don't agree. Allah surely knows best. Walhamdulillah.